Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today, we're finally talking about Moonrise. I finished the book, and well, yeah, that's about it. I don't really know how to start these. This is also my second take, so sorry if I'm a little bit tired. So let's begin. So, the cats gather in a cave, very sacred and very scared. A strange cat comes forth, looking like a stone-carved cat. I mean, that's how the book puts it. Alright. He says it's time for a telling, according to the laws of the tribe of endless hunting. Very mysterious. They speak of hope, the tribe, the endless hunting, of a silver cat from outside the tribe who will come and rid them of Sharptooth. Until then, they must wait. So overall, intriguing opening. A group of cats who we've not met before. They keep it very non-specific. I mean, we all know who it is, so, yeah, it's a very interesting opening. Let's hope the, overall book keeps up this momentum. Now, speaking about the tribe, I'm only going to be talking about the tribe in the context of the book, and that's it. So, anything that happens in the book, that's all I'm going to be discussing. I'm not going to reference the documents or the wider fandom opinions on it. I may focus on a video on that, like, specifically separately, although I'm not sure because I like living. Anyway, let's go on to the rest of the book with that preface out of the way. So, the main book. We get a new POV. Yay? Our first non-ThunderClan POV. Yeah. This was the first book to do that. I think some people might forget that. Stormfur. An interesting choice. I mean, Stormfur wasn't the most particularly interesting cat in the previous book, so making him POV is a choice, but, you know, let's see if it goes somewhere. Spoiler alert, it kind of doesn't. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So, you know, we reestablish the current plot. You know, the cats had to come from far away to meet Midnight, who is a badger. You guys all know this, right? So Midnight and Stormfur have a chat. You know, just a vague chat about what is to come, you know, dangers, whatnot. Midnight knows things more than she's letting on. You know, general mysterious stuff. So the group decides to head back to the woodland to kind of, you know, start the journey back. And on their way back to woodland, they pass those moorland hills. Crowpaw hunts, you know, he's a WindClan cat, that's what he does. Crowpaw, he likes Feathertail, and it's very obvious. Like, we kind of got that in the last book, but Stormfur, being Feathertail's sister, he's very much aware of this. It's not really a secret. Which is weird, because in the same breath, Stormfur says he has a crush on Squirrelpaw, which I did not see coming. It's never really brought up in other books, either, which is weird. Like, it's brought up in the same breath as the romance with Crowpaw and Feathertail, which makes sense. You know, it's romance, siblings, you know, it's the same kind of beat. But it's never really been, no other books really corroborate this. It's only brought up in this book, to my recollection, which is weird. But, I don't know, it's, I mean, it doesn't add anything. It doesn't take away anything. It just is there. It's a kind of pointless detail. But, you know, there's not really much to talk about. It's just kind of a, huh, moment. Sorry I talked about it too long, but it was weird reading that. So the group return to the forest area and reunite with Purdy. We love Purdy. They hunt a bit, and then suddenly, a group of vicious foxes appear, and the chapter ends. As you do. Like, cliffhangers. This book specifically, this happens with almost every single book moving forward with, like, multiple protagonists, and, like, having cliffhangers between different POVs. But so far, like, Midnight didn't really have it that bad. It had it, don't get me wrong, but not to the point where, like, it was, like, egregious or, like, that, like, overwhelming. But this book has it really bad. Like, almost every chapter is a really bad cliffhanger, especially when it flips over to a different POV. It's a little frustrating, but, like, I get it. Other books do this. This is the first one that, like, is really aggressive about it. Anyway, re-enter Leafpaw. She's doing med stuff, as you do. So Firestar tells the group about what happened in the epilogue of the last book, because, that happened. Basically, the two legs are much more aggressively tearing apart the forest. And that's kind of the bulk of what Leafpaw's POV is. It's just a glimpse back at the forest and the destruction therein, which on paper is interesting. In practice, it is less so, but we'll get there. Anyways, the clans are kind of panicked, they're not really sure what to do. Firestar wants to go speak with ShadowClan because apparently it was near ShadowClan's border and he's worried about them. It's Firestar, he's worried about everyone but himself. And Leafpaw goes with them to kind of sort this all out, and then ShadowClan attacks them as the chapter ends. I told you guys, this is very aggressive bookend chapters, and it only goes worse from here. Anyway, back at the forest area with the group of cats, Midnight tells the foxes to leave. And they have a chat because I don't remember if I brought up in the last video. Midnight, no, she's a badger. She speaks badger, but she can also speak, she can speak cat, she can speak dog, rabbit, and fox, I believe. Maybe not dog, but it is brought up that she can speak fox. And basically, she negotiates a deal for the cats to leave pretty much immediately. And they do. So, as the group kind of travels a bit away, Midnight says they must return via the way they came. Go back home. But no one's really enthusiastic about returning through the two-leg place. Because, last time that happened, they got horribly lost and went all over the place. So they decide to take a faster route, ? AKA, they want to go through the mountains. Now, if you would direct your attention to the map. So this is a map, an official map of the land between, on the bottom right-hand corner you have High Stones, and then you have Midnight's Den on the left-hand side. So the red line is an approximate journey of the cats there to Midnight's Den, where the blue line is an approximation of the cat's journey back. Now, as I said, this is only an approximation, meaning it is very likely this is wrong, but I think it illustrates the point that I and a lot of other people have kind of been frustrated about this book, and that is, they're wrong. It is not a shorter trek. Like, yes, going to the Tulik place was a nightmare, but as stated in the text, they've gone through it once. They have a better idea how to go back. And yet, they decided to go through the mountains, which arguably is not a straight line through. Now, yes, if they didn't make the detour to the Tribe Rushing Waters cavern, then it would be shorter. But even then, the mountains are unpredictable territory. And honestly, I don't think this map does justice for how bad the mountain territory is as described in the book. I mean, if you look at the cover of this book, it's like snowy mountains. And true, it's not purely snow, as stated in the books, but it's rough. So it's not shorter. Distance or practicality. So it's just kind of I think they just wanted to take a different route. And it kind of doesn't really help the whole story to feel like filler. That kind of is what the vibe it gives off. Which is annoying, but this is more so like just a frustration, and yes, I know, this map is not 100%, probably to scale, but again, this is the only map we really have to go off of. They haven't really redesigned this map, to my knowledge, probably because it would be shorter, considering later books ignore how long the distance is. But anyway, we're getting off track, and very off track. Let's go back to the story. So after the group decides to go through the mountains, for some unknown reason, Purdy tries to stop them because he is aware of the tribe. I don't know how he's aware of the tribe. It's never really stated how he knows that they exist. For some reason. I don't know. But anyway, he's aware of them, but midnight, he stops him, from telling the group about the tribe, and they head off into the unknown, leaving Purdy and Midnight behind. Which, that's not ominous at all. Anyway, back in ShadowClan, Firestar talks down Russet Fur and the ShadowClan deputy, and the group heads to the ShadowClan camp. Blackstar brushes them off, and they leave. He's very aggressive about it, calls them all sorts of names. You get the gist. Leafpaw tries to go speak to WindClan, because, the whole situation happens, but is chased off. She's very much discarded. So afterward, Mothwing helps her and Sorreltail, because, that's Leafpaw's best friend, and Mothwing confirms that WindClan is having issues, but doesn't really know much. It also is pointed out that while Mothwing is concerned about WindClan, she's also afraid of an ambitious cat, keeping it very vague. But she doesn't really specify anything, so, foreshadowing. Leafpaw thanks her for her help and leaves, and that ends the chapter. So flash forward, Stormfur and the rest of the cats are climbing the mountains, and as one can expect, it is not easy. Who would have thought? As they cross a sort of narrow path, because, it's a mountain, those exist. I don't know. If you can't tell, I do not know what I'm doing, and yet I'm still doing it. Anyway, so as the group crosses a narrow path, an eagle swoops down and attacks them, albeit unsuccessfully. So the group hunts and eats a little bit, and Stormfur talks to Feathertail, his sister, about Crowpaw. Stormfur is concerned about their closeness, but Feathertail rebukes this after what Midnight said. Basically, she doesn't want to talk about it. And what she means about what Midnight says is about the clans coming together and, kind of, they just come together and, kind of help support each other. And she is kind of interpreting this as the clans will not have the whole, all their laws thing. Which, it's optimistic, which is also funny considering what happens later, but we'll get there. I say that a lot, but trust me, we will. Afterward, the group sets out again, and it begins to rain, as it does. So as the group shelters a bit before continuing, Feathertail and Crowpaw have a cute moment, they're lovey-dovey, go figure. Suddenly, a water rushes to the group before flinging Stormfur away into darkness. He just gets swept off and flung around, as you do. Cut to Leafpaw, who almost also drowns, but because Mothwing is teaching her how to fish. Hawkfrost shows up and monologues a bit, he knows a bit too much about Tigerstar for Leafpool's liking, who is hiding and watching the whole thing. Eventually she goes home, and she somehow figures out that Hawkfrost and Mothwing are potentially Tigerstar's children. I know it's a children's book, but, does it have to be this obvious and this heavy-fisted of, an answer? I'm pretty sure people would have, figured it out on their own. Or even if you, wanted to keep it a reveal, you could have saved it to, the third book, where it is openly revealed. But, it's just a me thing. Anyway, Stormfur, he's safe, by the way. He didn't drown. Everyone else is safe, too. But they wait. They're kind of recuperating after almost drowning, which is fair. But they realize they're being watched. Suddenly, some strange cats approach them and speak to them. Now, what's odd about this is the book makes a point that the tribe cats speak, and I'm quoting this, the same language as the clan cats. Which is an interesting choice, because that implies that there are other clan languages? Not clan, other cat languages. Sorry, I misspoke. But other cat languages, which we kind of know is true, because Sharptooth, who is a cat, I presume is a mountain lion. Maybe he isn't. They're supposed to be British, but then again, this is fantasy. It implies that there are other cat languages. That they are aware of this, painfully so. At least, like, the clan cats are. Which is odd, because it's never really been implied. On top of that, that kind of opened up a larger thought bubble of, like, do cats have accents? Because it's specified that the tribe cats speak with a weird vocabulary. Like, they kind of have a weird, like, accent. They don't say accent, but essentially it is an accent. But, like, the book never phonetically has an accent, which I get. It's a book. Doing accents is really hard for books. It's much easier in, like, you know, in, like, acting or, like, movies and stuff. And as an actor, like, accents on, like, a script to accents, like, on a stage, they're very different. And almost all times it's on the stage, never the script. But it's just kind of an odd wording choice that kind of further opened up lore questions. Granted, this series is very bad at lore in terms of, like, consistency, so it's possibly just, like, a weird word choice to kind of stretch home the fact that this is a different group of cats. I don't know, it just kind of stuck out to me as someone who likes the way they talk about this. Anyway, the two groups speak, you know, very cordially. Strangely enough, these cats seem very interested in Stormfur. Like, they're immediately infatuated with him, which is interesting. The two cats of them, by the way, are brook where small fish swim, and crag where eagles nest. I believe I got their names right. I'm not looking this up, because I do not really edit these. This isn't the Persona video. Anyway, so they introduce themselves as the Tribe of Rushing Water. Very interesting. And they invite the group back to their home, which the group accepts kind of with very tensely, because they kind of interpret the way this conversation is going as, like, not really a request, which is interesting, because, you know, they immediately get weird vibes from this, which they don't really justify. I don't know, it's kind of weird. So then they travel to where the tribe lives, and they find the entrance, which is shrouded by a waterfall, which is very pretty. And they enter into the unknown. And no, I'm not singing the Frozen song. So then later, in ThunderClan, Leafpaw and Cinderpaw are having a training session, because, you know, Mez and cats, they have to know how to fight. Around this time, when they go back home, they learn that WindClan is apparently stealing prey. So Firestar wants to talk to Tallstar. People are a little tense about this. They're like, it didn't work with ShadowClan. Why do you think it'll work with WindClan? We also have a moment where Firestar and Leafpaw, you know, father-daughter, they have a cute little scene. It's really endearing. Then, as they head off to WindClan, Tallstar and WindClan approach them. And they kind of are confronted. End of chapter. So, back with the group, they arrive at the tribe's home, and they meet the Teller of the Pointed Stone, or Stone Teller. He greets the group, and he reveals that he's both the leader and the healer, which, as Squirrelpaw puts it, I believe it's Squirrelpaw, wow, that's a very powerful combination. It is. It is really powerful. He allows the group to stay, and is very interested at Stormfur. Like, he's very, like, interested, like, oh, interesting, what is that? There's also this moment of, like, culture shock, like, the groups, you know, kind of explain their cultures, like the clan cats explain how their life is, the tribe cats explain who they are. It's very interesting, because, you know, it's world building. You know, different culture that's similar, but very different. Reading the wiki article for the tribe while kind of prepping for this video is very interesting, considering what the origins were. Which, you know, you should read the trivia. I'm not going to say it here, because it could get me demonetized. But yeah. Anyway, after all the introductions and the kind of interesting naming conventions and the way they kind of talk about things, which is very interesting, the tribe is clearly, like, it's very obvious they are concerned about something, but they don't say what. But why, though? Anyway, later on, Tall Star, or as I have in my notes, Tall CR, is aggressive for basically no reason. Like, he's just very aggressive. I don't know why. This is kind of the same thing with, like, in that one book in the first arc where just Tall Star is very aggressive for arguably a justifiable reason, but, like, in every other book he's very chill. This is kind of the same thing. A fight almost breaks out, and Firestar stops it. They kind of, like, talk down each other, and then they leave. The forest is short of prey. You know, everyone's starving. But ThunderClan is concerned, can they survive for long with the two legs ripping all the trees out, disturbing all the prey, and doing worse things, which will be brought up later. Cinderpelt is concerned because she has heard nothing from StarClan. They haven't spoken to her or anyone, not even a warning. They have been very silent, which is very nerve-wracking. Like, even disregarding the fact that they didn't talk to, like, them regarding, like, Midnight, them not speaking anything about the Forest is, like, strange. So, back with the, tribe. Stoneteller tells the group they can stay for as long as they want. Very interesting wording. So the group is concerned by this wording, like they're very aware that this is, you know, a little concerning. And so they decide to rest because, if you remember in the last book, Tawny Pelt got bitten by a rat. And while Midnight was able to treat her, it's still bad. Like, you know, climbing up a rocky mountain with an injured shoulder, yeah, that's not a good idea. So they decide to rest as long as Tawny Pelt needs to, so that Stoneteller can also heal her. So they rest. Brooks speaks to Stormfur around this time. They have a little conversation. It's very awkward. It's kind of obvious that she's kind of infatuated with him, similar to how, like, Feathertail and Crovepaw. Granted, it is very, like, one-sided. Like, even though this is his perspective, it's very one-sided, which is very strange considering what happens later. But yeah, it's a little odd. Later, the group hunts with the tribe, and we kind of learn, like, how the tribe hunts, which is basically, instead of hunting a mouse, they have the mouse lure out a falcon, and then kill both of them. So, you know, double kill. Basically, it's, you know, you don't get a lot of prey on the mountain, so you have to hunt where you can, and you have to hunt very smartly. Cut to a few days later, Stormfur is hunting, and he's very good at it. And Crag or Eagle's Nest, or just Crag, says something odd. He says, wow, you'll be a great hunter when you stay with us or something, not when you leave or something. I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of worded in such a way where, like, it implies Stormfur will never leave them, which he picks up on and is concerned by. So, around this time, the group of cats smell something rancid and strange, and the tribe cats freak out. Stormfur is confused, as he often is. So around this time, Tawny Pelt is better. She's healed up nicely. She's, you know, ready to at least move on. And the group wants to leave. You know, they're like, okay, we thank you for your hospitality, but we have to go home and save our people from extinction. And the tribe cat says, no, you can't leave. So then the group is taken to the Cave of Pointed Stones. Basically, the Moonstone for the tribe. And, there's a title drop. They say, when the moon rise, and they actually, capitalize it, which is funny. We then kind of get, like, this whole lore dump, but they don't tell the cats, they just kind of exposit it in general, which is interesting. They mention Sharptooth. It's kind of implied that he's, this, like, big cat. Hold on, let me look this up. Hold on, sorry. That's fine. So yeah, it's kind of implied, I don't know if it's stated, it might say in the trivia section. I'm not gonna look it up. Probably should have, but I'm not going to. It's kind of implied that he's a mountain lion, at least that's, like, the best way it can kind of be put. He has been hunting the tribe, you know, hunting them, ripping them to shreds, and the tribe, endless hunting, prophesies that a silver cat will save them, and the tribe thinks it's Stormfur, which is weird, because in the allegiances, Stormfur is described as a dark gray cat, whereas Feathertail, who, spoiler alert, is the prophesied silver cat, is a light gray cat. And if you Google silver, more times than not, the color of silver is a lightish gray color. That's not to say that, like, silver cannot be dark gray. It can be, but predominantly it is, light gray. Now, it's possible that the original version of this was like a gray cat will save us, which, yeah, that would open up to be more vague and non-specific. But then again, a gray cat will save us is less poetic than a silver cat will save us. And who knows, maybe it was always a silver cat and they just wanted to make it very obvious that Stormfur was not the cat. I don't know. Again, it's just a wording thing, but it's in the details, man. If you're going to specify something, at least specify something correctly. But who knows, maybe in other places, dark gray is more of a silver color. I don't know. That's not really important. I mean, it is to me. So essentially, the tribe is forcing Stormfur to stay with them until he can kill Sharptooth. How? I don't know, and neither do they. Brook tries to comfort Stormfur because he is isolated from the rest of the group, but Stormfur very obviously rebuffs her. And now to go on a fun tangent called The Tribe is Not to Blame. Now, the tribe doing what they did, it's not great. Like, obviously, holding someone against their will because you think that you can save your entire clan, like, it's not great. But considering everything, I don't blame them for their actions. I mean, consider this. If a giant, essentially eldritch being, who was coming in, killing you in vast numbers, was merciless, and you had no physical way to defeat him, and then your religion essentially told you, this cat will be your savior, obviously, you're gonna listen. Like, it makes sense why they did what they did. It doesn't justify it, don't get me wrong. It doesn't justify their actions, but it explains them. And it makes sense. Like, I do not blame the tribe for doing what they did. Like, I don't know. And the reason I'm kind of throwing off this rant, because I've seen some people kind of say that this is just a way to make the tribe seem like not good, like more evil, or like not evil. How do I put this? People kind of see this as the way the tribe is like inferior to clans, and I don't see that way. If the clans were told that a savior will save you, if they were having their own like crisis, and they were told a cat will save you, you're obviously going to try to make sure that cat can save you. You're not going to give them a choice, especially like if untold numbers of dead occur. So again, this would kind of happen to anyone. So again, I don't blame them for this. I understand it. But it's still not a great look. But you know what? The tribe is not to blame for anything, for their actions. It's understandable. Speaking of kind of the cat religion, so the medicine cats decide to go to the Moonstone for answers, because it's half moon, and they are concerned because nothing's happened. Like, they haven't been told anything by StarClan. Mothwing talks to Leafpaw, and she's getting better at her job. She's learning the herbs. She feels like she's a better medicine cat. She's feeling confident, and she's in a much better place. Because remember last time she went to the Moonstone, she was very unconfident. She's like, I don't think I'm going to be a good medicine cat or whatnot. So as they approach Mothermouth, we discover in Wind Clan the two legs have been poisoning the rabbits. They've been poisoning them and causing them to die. And also, any cat that eats the rabbits will also die. Mostly. Some cats survive, but most of the cats will die if they eat them. What's interesting is that based on what I looked up, poisoning the rabbits in both the US and UK is more or less illegal. So these two legs are basically criminals, which is fun. Not fun, but it's kind of funnily recontextualizes their actions going forth, because we view them as the bad guys for they're basically destroying the clan territory, but it's worse because they're participating in biological warfare on cats, which is both very funny and very unfortunate. Anyways, the medicine cats all arrive to the Moonstone. They all get there. They try to learn stuff. Leafpaw has a terrifying dream. It's kind of hard to interpret, though, because it's either about what Squirrelpaw is currently going through with the whole tribe and, darkness and all that, or the destruction to come. It's also in this moment that Leafpaw meets Spotted Leaf, the person she is named after, partly. It's not really specified. And then not really said in this book. Anyway, Spotted Leaf vows to help Leafpaw from now on, just like she was for her father. So then we get back to the tribe cats. The group is, wrestling with the fact, and we get a brand new POV. Featherpaw, our first 3 POV book. Yeah. It's weird, because Featherpaw is only a POV for 2 chapters. And the only reason she exists as a point of view character is just to fill in the gap while Stormfur is held captive. Which, I get it, but at the same time, it's kind of pointless. 2 chapters. Really? Really? I don't even want to call her a point of view character. She's just a character who is our point of view for a very short period of time. It's kind of stupid. Anyway, beyond that, she is concerned for her brother, as one would be. But she is blocked from seeing him. She can't see him. The tribe will let the group go in the morning, without Stormfur. They're basically going to force them out. The group argues about what to do. They're really unsure about what to do. They leave him, do they come back? But ultimately, they decide to sneak back in and save Stormfur at night. They just want to come back and save him. Or die trying. I mean, preferably not die trying, but if it happens, it happens. So then they all rest, they sleep it off, and Feathertail hears a strange voice. Or rather, voices. It's kind of hard to tell. They are speaking to her, but it's difficult for her to understand them, or specifically, understand why they are speaking to her. But she feels it's important. Anyway, in the morning, the group is escorted out of the cave and out of the tribe's territory. So the group pretends to leave because, they're being watched from afar, and they hunt until nightfall, wait until they least expect it. There's a scene where, Crowfeather, Crowpaw obviously loves Feathertail, and she reciprocates these feelings. However, Crowpaw says there will always be 4 clans. So, the way it's kind of presented is that he loves Feathertail, but he pretty much thinks that there'll always be 4 clans, so they can never be together, and yet they're not in a relationship, but very close to. So, I don't know, it's just a very weird choice by him. Regardless, so as they prepare to kind of go back to the cave, the Squirrelpaw proposes that they disguise themselves with mud, like the tribe cats, to blend in with the rock. So eventually, after doing that, they make their way very carefully back to the cave, but suddenly, they're interrupted when Sharptooth begins once more his attack on the tribe. And in the confusion, they break in and save Stormfur. Now, in this confusion, as I mentioned, it's utter carnage. Sharptooth is, whacking cats all over the place, flinging them against walls, absolutely tearing them a new one. And the cats are terrified. Not just the tribe cats, because this is happening again. This eldritch abomination is just attacking them with basically no reason. Just that he is a predator and he knows that he can do this. And the clan cats, they're horrified because they've never seen something. I mean, they face dogs and foxes and badgers, but never another cat. And it's true. And utter destruction. But once they tame Stormfur, they all escape, leaving the tribe to defend themselves as best as they can. And so ends the Feathertail portion of the book. As I said, she only has 2 chapters, and then she's gone. Just like that. She came, and she went. Anyway, back to Leafpaw. So Leafpaw kind of watches Cinderpelt report to Firestar about the rabbits, so he's caught up. So Firestar, to be overly cautious, decides to ban rabbits. He says to no longer hunt rabbits, no matter where they might originate from. So as, some of the warriors try to remove rabbits from the fresh kill pile, Dappletail, an elder, swoops in and starts eating one, not really caring about being poisoned. I mean, she says, listen, I'm starving, I don't care. Which, that's okay. Leafpaw hopes she won't get sick, and then she does. So, when she's out gathering hers with Cinderpelt, they are told that Dappletail is sick and they need to come back to camp right away. Cinderpelt rushes over and tells Leafpaw to collect more herbs and they can come later, because they both don't need to be there. So, while Leafpaw remains, suddenly a RiverClan apprentice falls into the river. So Leafpaw swims over to help Mistyfoot with him, because, there's not really a medicine cat on site until Mothwing and Hotfrost come around later. And, she just likes to help people. It's a medicine cat, that's what they do. So, Mothwing panics. She has a full-on kind of, panic attack about trying to help this essentially dying cat, or would-be dying cat. And Mudfur, the RiverClan medicine cat, isn't around, and there's no time to get him. So, Leafpaw takes over. She, gets all the water out of Reedpaw's throat, and she bandages him up. Hawkfrost is kind of mad at Mothwing. She says, what's the matter with you? Oh no. Mothwing also freaks out and leaves. It's a really, not a great situation. But hey, Reedpaw is alive. That's all that matters. But while Reedpaw might be alive, Dappletail isn't. She's dead. The first ThunderClan casualty so far. A lot of cats, we've heard some cats dying in WindClan and other clans, but not a ThunderClan cat has died yet. Until now. And what's worse, Cloudtail and Brightheart have disappeared. We cut back to the group. Stormfur is once again our point of view character. He leads the group away because he's more familiar with the tribe's territory, having hunted with them the most. Eventually, they rest a bit, and Stormfur, he's going through it, man. He is just absolutely destroyed that the tribe betrayed him like that. They just, essentially held him hostage, and just did not really talk to him about what's going on. I guess you could say communication is the biggest enemy this book. And yeah, well, I did say earlier, I agree, or I don't blame the tribe for what they did, but, they could have gone about better. There were better options, and this wasn't one of them. But anyway, he's just going through it, and eventually the group, they find shelter, they try to hunker down, to rest before they continue onwards, but they are surprised to find tribe cats. Oh no. So, back in ThunderClan, we're cutting all over the place, because of course why not? ThunderClan is really sad about Dappletail, it's heartbreaking, our first casualty. Some of the clan suspects that Cloudtail went back to being a kitty pet, because of that whole plot line. Firestar kind of rejects this, on top of the fact that, Brightheart would not have let him go back to being a kitty pet, just straight up. And plus, if they both disappeared, they most certainly have to be together. But their daughter, Whitepaw, she's distraught. She's devastated. She's going through it. Everyone's going through it in this book. And what's worst, our second casualty has occurred. Larchkit, the child of Ferncloud and Dustpelt, who was just, he's awful, man. He's just, he's devastated. Dustpelt is, he's heartbroken. And, we don't get Ferncloud's perspective, but she's, as stated in later parts, she's grieving, man. I mean, a child dying, that's when the conflict is serious. And the clan is just filled with complete and utter despair. So back with the group, Stormfur and the other cat speak to these tribe cats, who are a bit different. Apparently, the tribe of Endless Hunting, before the whole Silver Cat prophecy, apparently asked 6 cats to go and kill Sharptooth. Note that there are 6 cats in the Journeying Cats group. This never isn't brought up. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. But they try to go and kill Sharptooth, but fail. Only 3 of them have survived. One of them, whose name is Talon, I can't remember his full name, but Talon is Brooke's sister. Talon, why did I put that down? I have in my notes, Talon is Brooke's sister. He's not a sister, he's a guy. Talon is Brooke's brother. Anyway, so the group, they calm down, they kind of explain the situation, and took a rest for the night, and figure out more in the morning. So Talon and Stormfur speak about the prophecies, and just kind of the general explanation about prophecies. Because, Stormfur, he is not the cat that was given the prophecy. Feathertail was. He only came along because he was worried about his sister. Here. And, even though he's not a part of the prophecy, he feels like he should be with the group to save the clan. And he says that I can't follow both prophecies. But Talon says that neither prophecy is right and neither prophecy is wrong. It's all about interpretation. And sometimes people make wrong interpretations. This happened all the time in the original series, Firestar would get a prophecy or a vision, and he would know generally what may happen, but he didn't know the specifics. He was sometimes wrong or just did not know. Prophecies are not a for sure thing. They're it kind of depends. We've gotten for sure future prophecies that are 100% going to happen. We've had prophecies that are just vaguely what's going to happen. We've had prophecies of what could happen if you allow it, so please stop it. Which I think is interesting. I don't think this is ever really addressed in the main series, but it's an interesting kind of way to utilize prophecies and the general vibe thereof. Anyway, the group rests. They all kind of rest, and Stormfur kind of mulls over this whole situation. In his dream, he dreams of his mother, Silverstream, who he has never met, and he's a little confused by the whole situation. It's also kind of weird because, Silverstream, a StarClan cat, can communicate with him from far away. Because, this is not really brought up in this book, but other books bring up the whole, distance thing. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, Silverstream tells him to honor different ancestors. It doesn't matter who these ancestors are, they are somebody's, and you should honor them. Which I think is a roundabout way of saying, even though this is not your prophecy, you should still help this. It's not prophecy from StarClan, but if it's regarding you, you should still participate in it. Stormfur then decides, after this little pep talk with his mother, to go back and help the tribe. The group decides, somewhat begrudgingly, to also help. I say begrudgingly, they're just kind of a little, the whole last time they tried to help the tribe, they got put in jail. So, little salty, but they ultimately decide. And, they're kind of unsure, how do we do this? However, Squirrelpaw interprets Silverstream's words as not someone can beat Sharptooth, because, just because it's not yours, it's someone else's. So the way that it's kind of interpreted, I don't know, these words are weird. I can't read my notes, I'm sorry. But no one, because of course you had 6 cats sent to kill Sharptooth. But instead of 6 cats, what about something? Not living. I probably could have put this a lot better. I'm not cutting this. I don't really edit these. Anyway, back with Leafpaw. So Leafpaw tries to hunt unsuccessfully. Prey is very scarce with the 2 legs poisoning and destroying the forest. And pretty much all at the same time. She and Sorreltail discuss deathberries. This is foreshadowing. I didn't put it in my notes. The 2 legs are destroying more and more of the forest. They're really destroying the forest. It's getting rough. Eventually, Sorreltail tries to hunt, but accidentally goes into RiverClan territory. She's chasing a squirrel, and you cross borders. It happens. But Hawkfrost catches her. So Hawkfrost wants to take her to Leopard Star, her. And Mothwing shows up and tries to stop him. And it's revealed during this conversation that Mistyfoot, the RiverClan deputy, is missing. And Hawkfrost is trying to be positioned as the next deputy, like her successor. Which can only lead to very bad, things. I can't speak. I'm feeling this second part like hours later. I'm still here. Anyway, Mothwing convinces Hawkfrost to let Sorreltail go. For some, contrived reason, kill him with kindness is essentially what she tells him. And, Leafpaw and Mothwing, they kind of make up. Because Leafpaw felt a little guilty about how she treated Mothwing and vice versa. And then, for some contrived reason, Leafpaw says, "Hey, Mothwing, is Tigerstar your father?" And Mothwing says, yes. Because that makes sense. Just reveal family secrets. I still think the way that Leafpaw came to her conclusion that he was her father is weird, but I don't know, it's fine. So anyway, the entire group, the tribe cats and the main group, they return to the tribe, who are really bitter that he ran off and abandoned them. And they're also really distraught over all of the deaths, because there's a lot of deaths. The group's plan, the master plan, that partly is Squirrelpaw, but a lot of them have called it pitched in, is to use deathberries, which the tribe calls Nightseed. Not really important to the plot, but I just think it was interesting. So they plan to poison prey and lure him to the cave so they can kill him in a tight space. They're hoping that even if the deathberries don't kill Sharptooth, at the very least, it'll weaken him. Which, fair. It's a good plan. They also are going to lure him to the cave to be killed with blood. So the Talon does this weird thing where he raises his paw and cuts it with his teeth. I think it's supposed to be badass, but it's a little unnecessary. I say that. I mean, it's kind of cool, but So anyway, as they're kind of preparing themselves, something happens. Sharptooth comes way too early. They are very much underprepared for this. And so, a massive fight ensues, with Sharpclaw not really being as weakened as they were hoping. All seems lost. Cats being flung against the walls, ripped to shreds, the typical thing that happens when you fight a giant cat. Until something happens. Feathertail hears voices, but we don't hear them because we're not in her point of view. However, she says, yeah, I understand. She apologizes to Crowpaw, leaps up the side of the wall, and dislodges a stalactite, because, we're in a cave. It plummets down, impaling Sharptooth, killing him instantly. And then, because of the way she dislodged it, I assume she, leaped onto it and loosened it. I don't know, the book's a little vague. I imagine when the graphic novel adaptation comes out, it'll probably specify it a bit. But she fell, and fell hard. That's the book's wording, not mine. She eventually falls to her death, and she dies from her injuries, leaving with Silverstream as a spirit. They have a little moment where, they're spirits. Stormfur and Crowpaw are really upset. One lost a sister, the other lost a lover. However, while they're essentially crying, the tribe rejoices because their bloodthirsty monster, this eldritch abomination that's been terrorizing them for who knows how many moons, is dead. And the prophecy has come to pass because a silver cat has saved them, albeit not the one that they originally thought, and not the way that anyone wanted. That's a little sad. Back to Leafpaw. Leafpaw has this really horrifying vision of what is to come. Trees are being uprooted, dirt flying everywhere, rocks exploding, the usual shindig. And StarClan, as stated by Spotterleaf, is helpless. They cannot save them. Well, that's unfortunate. So we get a reminder that ThunderClan is starving, as you do. We also find out that a two-leg almost stole mouse fur. They were out hunting, and the two-leg attempted to grab mouse fur, but luckily, she got away. Leafpaw is kind of concerned about this and wants to get more information. So she and Sorreltail go investigate. She finds a small two-legged den, as she puts it, and investigates inside. But, unfortunately, it's a trap, and Leafpaw is taken, consumed by darkness. In the epilogue, we get a brand new protagonist, Squirrelpaw. And no, I'm not counting this as our first, fourth POV book, because epilogues and prologues typically have different POVs. This isn't important, I'm just specifying. So Squirrelpaw wakes up, she's kind of like, what was that dream? Was it Leafpaw? Is she in danger? But she's kind of unsure about it, because she's not StarClan attuned, so she's not as, aware of the whole connection, sister dream, whatever it's called. So we get a little recap. There's been a time skip. Unspecified, but it's been some time. They're not in the mountains anymore. So the group left the mountains after Feathertail was buried, and they began their journey home. Everyone is just really sad. They're heartbroken, downtrodden by Feathertail's death, and it's just really a solemn walk home. But they see something on the horizons. High stones. The first sign that they are almost home. Back to the home that they once knew. But is it the same as it left? Regardless, their journey home is almost complete. And that ends Moonrise. Overall, while it might seem that a lot happened in this book, overall, I'll be honest, it was kind of boring. It just felt like a lot of this was filler. Like a filler arc, essentially. A book whose only purpose was to kill time. That's not to say it wasn't justified, because, the first book was going to the place, and the second book, obviously, would be coming back from the place, to get the prophecy from Midnight. But it feels like going through the mountains was only done to, make it interesting. Which, I get it. But, I don't know, it just felt like a lot happened, but nothing happened. And granted, Feathertail died, but still, it kind of came out of nowhere. I'm honest, it really came out of nowhere. If Feathertail was more of the protagonist, and she heard the voices, more throughout, when they were in the mountains, then maybe it would have been better. If she and Stormfur were the only protagonists, that would help, because, Stormfur on his own is kind of a bland protagonist. He's just a diet version of, Brambleclaw. His own struggles, he's a little angsty, but, he's just kind of there. There's a little bit of a spark with Brooke, but it seems that he's aware that she's infatuated with him, but does not reciprocate her feelings, at least at the moment. I knew that I know, spoiler alert, they become a couple. They have kids. But it really felt like he did not, I don't think he was even aware that she had a thing for him. What's worse is that Feathertail only having 2 chapters, it felt like she and Stormfur had the same amount of characterization, despite the fact that Stormfur had way more of the book. On top of the fact that Leafpaw, despite being a POV back home to see how progressively worse things have gotten, is kind of pointless. Yeah, people die, and yeah, we get kind of an insight that things are turning bad, but as some people have said over the years, it would be more effective to not have any ThunderClan view in this book, and just have, no insight. So when we get back in the third book, it's that much more devastating. That's not to discredit that it won't be devastating, it's just more so, a heightened sense of it. But overall, the POVs are just not as interesting. There isn't that interesting kind of back and forth. I feel especially for Feathertail, she had a lot more characterization in Midnight. Her conversation with Brambleclaw. Her kind of banter with him. That was very interesting. Stormfur, he seemed like the odd man out. And he was, because, he wasn't a prophecy cat. But neither were Squirrelpaw, and he had a lot more personality. One might even say too much, but I digress. But the point is, it just felt like there was a lot more you could do, but you didn't do it. And let's go. The tribe. The tribe in this book are interesting. They're presented as very, like, interesting group. There's a lot of vagueness and a lot of, like, open to interpretation or, like, open to further exploration. And while later books don't really explore the tribe to the same extent as they probably should, as for an initial introduction, it's good. You know, it's a new culture, new way of living. It's not disrespectful. It's not, like, you know, bad. It's fairly good. But again, like, not to, like, really bring up later books, but this is honestly the best the tribe has ever been depicted. And that's saying something, because this is the first time they've been depicted, which means it only goes down from here. What else? I mean, like I said earlier, there is good stuff, but again, all of this good stuff cannot outweigh the bland stuff, because none of it's bad. I wouldn't call this book bad, just boring. Just really boring. Like, it just feels like a waste of time, honestly. And I hate that, because again, there are good things. I like the tribe in this book. They're they're interesting. I wish we got more of them in a way that was respectful, as well as, like, not blatantly, like, they are inferior or, you know, how do I put this? I don't know. I wish this book kind of drives my desire for a full-on tribe book, you know, from point of view, you know, from their perspective, like, how do they see the world? How does their culture affect them? Like, we see their culture from an outside point of view, but what about an inside point of view? But we've never got that, and I doubt we'll ever get that. Not with the tribe, not with the sisters, not with the Wildcats. We're only going to be restricted to the clans, which is heartbreaking, but then again, that's a later point. But my overall conclusion, as I stated before, this book is just kind of boring. You know, there's some good stuff, there's some bad stuff, but overall, it's just a bunch of meh stuff. But what do you think? Did you like the book? Did you dislike the book? Or do you agree with me and think it's just kind of there? Let me know down below. And I will see you all next time. Have a very Merry Christmas. Bye.